Whether it's following a trail of wealth, the path of a storm, or campaign contributions, in this edition of Behind the Headlines, we're connecting the dots. Beginning with On the Trail, you can't help but notice the high-end car dealerships on US 41. This stretch of Tamiami Trail is prime property for luxury retailers.
We have people that literally fly in to sign paperwork on a car and then fly out.
Then, should severe weather knock out electricity, FP&L is on it with new technology that helps them keep an eye on power. Plus, putting one foot in front of the other, a local girl is representing the immigrant experience. In honoring America, she's recognized for her persistence and passion. And a baby shower like nothing you've ever seen, collecting gifts for furs and feathers. I'm Amy Oshier. Those stories and more are coming your way. The main thoroughfare in Southwest Florida, US 41, is highly visible, making it prime property for businesses hoping to catch the eye of drivers, especially those who love cars. Over the past few years, the trail has become a destination for luxury car dealerships and people pursuing wheels of fortune. Once the earth started moving, Tim Ayton's readers started buzzing.
Right away, people were asking what's going there because they have no idea because there wasn't a sign initially.
Turns out the big build on US 41 is future home of the newest Mercedes-Benz.
It's a very large dealership. I mean, you're talking about 86,000 square feet or more than 86,000 square feet on the 8 acres. So it's got to be one of the largest dealers in Collier County, if not the largest.
It's in good company. This 10 or so mile stretch of 41 is a dream for anyone seeking a high-end ride.
Per square footage, this is the best area to buy a vehicle in the United States.
Collier boasts a concentration of almost every luxury brand imaginable. Naples Luxury Imports offers 6 brands, from Range Rover and Jaguar to Aston Martin, Maserati, Bentley, and Rolls-Royce. Each exclusive lines on the lot, ready to roll.
Most of these cars, they're not mass-produced. So you really need to come in and you customize it, and you go up to our Rolls-Royce showroom and you pick out everything from headliners to seatbelt colors to, exterior and interior colors. So it's really a custom vehicle.
It serves as a nice complement to existing Mercedes, Porsche, and BMW dealerships, luxury brands brought up by locals and seasonal residents, along with buyers who travel great distances to get their hands on something exclusive like this new Rolls-Royce Dawn.
And we have people that literally fly in to sign paperwork on a car and then fly out.
This showroom is so showy, people stop in just to get a look.
Oh, absolutely, with cameras around their necks and everything else. So people on vacation come here and, they want us to take pictures of them next to vehicles, so we see that a lot.
The clustering of car dealerships accelerated a few years back, once Naples became known as a wealthy hotspot.
As real estate's grown in the city, so has the car business and all of the luxury elements.
With no signs of a slowdown, the trail is the place for dealerships to see and be seen.
In our location right on 41, it doesn't get much better than this.
1 week into hurricane season, and we've already had our first brush with severe weather. As we prepare to withstand storms, Florida Power and Light is doing the same. Reps for the electric company brought their mobile command center to Naples to show off new technology used in an emergency response. A combination of drones and robots will help them troubleshoot outages.
This first device you see here is an unmanned aerial system, and what we are exploring with this tool is the ability to assess our poles and wires and do damage assessment on top of poles and wires remotely, so that we're able to determine what needs to be fixed, and we can fix it quicker and restore power for our customers.
Equipped with mobile cameras, both tools help storm responders keep an eye on power and connect the dots, allowing them to efficiently dispatch restoration crews and get the juice flowing again. Still to come, we go around the newsroom to check in with our beat reporters. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Headlines. Our reporting staff at the Daily News is constantly gathering facts that help fill in the gaps on stories you care about. Here's the latest on their beats.
Hi, I'm Alex Glorioso, the political reporter here at the Naples Daily News, and this week I'm looking to connect the dots with political contributions. So right now I've been investigating two candidates who are running for the U.S. congressional race, and they're both vying for Kirk Clausen's U.S. congressional seat. He announced earlier this year that he won't be seeking re-election. This seat connects Lee County and Collier County. And the two candidates are people who are probably going to be branding themselves as anti-establishment, political outsiders, and I'm really trying to understand whether that's true or whether these will just be sorts of rhetorics for their campaigns. The first candidate is Sanibel Councilman Chauncey Goss, who's actually the son of a former U.S. Congressional Representative Porter Goss. His father also went on to work for the CIA under President George W. Bush. The second candidate, while he's not politically entrenched in the sense that he's ever held office, is actually a major political donor. And today what you'll be seeing in the Sunday newspaper is an actual history of his political contributions, breaking down who he's given to and for how much money. Over the course of his lifetime of political giving, Francis Rooney has contributed between him, his wife, and two of his major companies over $6 million to candidates. And one of those candidates he goes way back with, and that's also President George W. Bush. He wasn't that active before Bush ran for president and ran for re-election in 2003. And during that year, Francis Rooney actually gave $82,000 on his own accord to the campaign, and he also went on to bundle over $200,000 for the candidate. And since then, really, the sky's been the limit. Karl Rove, George W. Bush's senior political advisor, went on to set up an independent expenditure group, and Rooney has given $800,000 to that organization. When Mitt Romney ran for president, he gave $1 million to his super PAC that supported his presidency. And when Jeb Bush, another Bush who ran for president in 2016, he gave over $2 million to the super PAC that supported him. So while this person has never held office, what this means is that he's very, politically recognized, and if he does get elected for the seat, when he gets to Washington, he will be very much an insider. He will know people. He will have gone back with them for many years. He will have a seat at the table, if you will. So he might get the best of both worlds, anti-establishment to the voters, but very much an insider if he gets the seat.
I'm Greg Stanley. I cover Collier County for the Naples Daily News, and right now it's getting to the beginning of budget season, which is not dull at all, but it's particularly interesting this year because the county's behind the ball again on paying for all these new roads and expanding intersections and new traffic lights and all these things they need to deal with this new growth with the population that's coming in. And they have to find a way to pay for it. One of the outgoing commissioners wants to borrow thinks the county might need to borrow up to $60–70 million or raise taxes or do something to come up with that gap. And complicating all of this is that in a couple months, 3 new people are going to be elected to the commission, which is the new majority, which means they're going to pretty much get to decide to do whatever they want and could reverse decisions or follow through with the county's plans. So right now we're trying to really track down how all the new candidates feel about this and what they would do to either pay for the new roads or ignore it.
I'm Joey Craney. I'm the City of Naples reporter for the Naples Daily News. And one of the stories that I've been following for the past few weeks is a commercial development that neighbors a residential neighborhood in River Park. And River Park is the city's low-income neighborhood. It's a majority-minority neighborhood, and it gets criticized by members of the city council, including the mayor, who say that residents in that neighborhood aren't very politically active. However, about 3 dozen residents of that neighborhood showed up to a city council meeting a couple of weeks ago to protest a plan to build a 7-Eleven just on the west end of the neighborhood. Now, the city council voted to approve that plan even though the residents spoke out against it, and now the residents are still trying to determine what kind of recourse they have to protest that action. And what their concern is, among others, They don't know who the property owner is of this 7-Eleven. They found out that it was a hedge fund in New York. And what they're concerned about is other properties in the neighborhood who they don't know who the owner is, and that the entire neighborhood might be up for redevelopment.
Almost no one does a better job connecting the dots than Alan Bartlett. He joins us for this week's commentary.
You'd be hard-pressed to find flaws in the beauty of Naples beaches. Fine sands, gorgeous sunsets, the tranquil sound of lapping Gulf waves, a newly remade iconic fishing pier. If only it didn't have those 9 sore thumbs sticking out. So we applaud the City of Naples and its engineering consultants for moving forward on a project that will cost a bundle, but will remove those sore thumbs. The project will clean up stormwater that's now dumped untreated into the Gulf through those 9 ugly beach drainage pipes called outfalls. If you've strolled the Naples beaches, chances are you've stumbled upon them, either figuratively or literally. They're 18 inches or greater in diameter. They're supported by decaying wooden pilings. When it rains much, they spew discolored water from coastal streets into the Gulf. Besides jeopardizing the safety of beachgoers getting over or around the pipes, or anyone braving bacteria in the water near the pipes, they can block sea turtles. They can backfire by carrying surging Gulf water inland if it's stormy. They contribute to erosion. Now we're finally seeing progress on an issue that has crawled like a sea turtle since 2012. That's when the council agreed the outfalls have to go. That all came up after the state held up a beach renourishment permit saying the outfalls must be removed. Make no mistake, this project will be costly at more than $20 million. What still gives us pause is that almost all of the treated stormwater still ends up in the Gulf through a pipe that would be buried under the hard bottom from Gulf Shore Boulevard, leading to a distant point offshore. However, at least it would be treated water. And it will be money well spent if it helps get rid of those 9 sore thumbs along an otherwise alluring beachfront. That's what I'm thinking. Join in the conversation at naplesnews.com.
Baby gifts for fur babies, along with their feathered friends. A community drive to help animals in need, that's ahead in Behind the Headlines. Her name is America, and she embodies many of our best qualities, earning the distinction Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Club of Collier County. Alexi Cardona brought us this story, a shining example of the American experience. 19-year-old America Guiterrez came to this country from Bolivia when she was 2 years old. As part of an immigrant family, they faced a tough time. Their legal status was an issue, and both money and food were in short supply.
When we first moved here, I was small, but I was old enough to know what we were going through. My family, we all lived in one room, small apartment, and we didn't always have enough food for the whole family. I could see that my mom was pregnant and she would still not eat just to feed my older sister, myself, and my dad. And although it looked like everything was okay, everything really wasn't. That's the moment where I was the most thankful for the Boys and Girls Club, because they give dinner here, and sometimes that was my last plate of food.
America also relied on resources from the Boys and Girls Club to help her academically. Her interaction with the organization inspired her to give back. She now has legal residency, is excelling in college, and back here. Sharing her time and talents with the Boys and Girls Club, working with children just like herself.
Because I know what I went through, I know who I can help and how to help them with my experience. So learning from what I went through and the struggle that my whole family went through, it's very easy to understand those who don't have much, or it's very easy for me to help them because I know what they're going through.
Each year, each Boys and Girls Club recognizes one young person as their Youth of the Year, seeking someone who embodies the traits of leadership, service, and academics. America proved to be just that role model, and she went on to earn second in the state of Florida's Youth of the Year. Without revealing too much, we're stirring up fun or trouble, depending on how you look at it, in our continuing look at pop culture. Welcome to Pop Studio, and as always, I'm here with Pam Fisher, who brought some of her features team along with us. Who do we have today?
So we have new reporter on the features team, Shelby Reynolds from Kansas, and we have Christine Gill, who is launching a new cocktail culture column.
Now, should we card Shelby today? Is it yeah.
She just graduated from college. That might be a good idea.
Okay, so she's our insider. Now, you want to talk about craft cocktails. What exactly is that, and how is that different from what we may have called mixed drinks? Are these more special?
Yeah, so building on the locavore trend where ingredients are locally sourced and fresh, you will find more local herbs, in-house distilled essences, like floral essences are being used a lot. Juices, they hand juice at the bars, yeah.
Wow, and is Christine finding out that they're very proprietary about these? I know you have a weekly column
Yeah, and I think they should be, because we were talking about the idea that they're local cocktails. You should only be able to get that one cocktail that one place, especially if they came up with it. But Pam's right, they juice these lemons and limes every day. I met with people at Bartulia who even create their own simple syrups and bitters. So pretty much everything there, aside from the liquor, which is the base, is something that they've come up with themselves.
And you found out that they don't want to even really share their technique or their ingredients with you?
Right, so they'll tell you what's in it, and that's all on the menu, and that's something that we'll feature in our weekly column, but how they mix it up is all up to them. So.
Was that popular on college campuses? Did people, when I was younger, you'd go into bars and play Stump the Bartender and people would come up with crazy names for drinks. Is it still like that?
Oh yeah, it's unusual to find just the weirdest ingredients. I mean, I still get freaked out anytime I see a jalapeno like sitting on the top of my glass. I just kind of pick that off, but I'm gonna get used to it eventually, I'm sure.
Now what's the weekly column gonna be like? Is it gonna be just trying different, sampling different?
Yeah, so we're gonna try to go around to a different bar every week. The first time, like I said, it was Bartulia. They had one for us, and this past week we went to Koi Lounge in Tokyo Bay, which is up in Bonita Springs, and they had two. So it's pretty much whatever these different bars want to feature for us, but they are very handcrafted, very local.
And we're hoping that you'll have the ingredients, and some of them will share the proportions of the ingredients that you can try and make them at home. It won't be an exact replica because you probably aren't going to hand distill your own hibiscus essence, right? You want to talk about the hibiscus?
So we didn't sample that one yesterday, but Koi Lounge has a hibiscus drink where I guess it's a little more bitter than you would think. It's floral, but it's not very sweet. They will actually make syrups out of that in the back, for the day of, and then these are edible flowers, so they have them in the drink too.
So it might inspire you to try something else at home too, that would mix up some different flavors and herbs and things like that.
Yeah, and so the balance of flavors in a craft cocktail will be different. So you might get a sweet and an herbal, or a bitter and a floral. And so I tried a drink at Massa's over the weekend that was a cucumber margarita, and they actually steep the tequila with the cucumber. And so it gets this really gentle, mellow, non-acidic flavor to a margarita. You still get the lime, but it's just balanced differently.
Now, is this mostly bar fare, or would you have this with your dinner? Because it sounds like you really might have to pick a selection going with a steak or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much about pairing as it is about enjoying those flavors the way they're intended to be enjoyed, So it's like, do you want to eat while you're trying to drink this very complex drink? Do you want to be able to taste all the layers of it? So
that's a good word for it.
Yeah, I think it's something that you definitely just have on its own and enjoy the whole thing. So
yeah. And we're also looking at kind of, I think what makes that popular is the authenticity of having that, very small batches, very thoughtfully prepared. And you said that we had some other stories this week that kind of lend itself to that theme as well.
Right, so Christine stumbled on a techie who left the software industry to take over a small locally owned donut shop, Peace, Love, and Donuts.
Peace, Love, and Little Donuts, yeah. So they're these little guys, they're about the half size of a normal donut that you would get at like Dunkin' or something, but what makes them different is that they make them every morning, so they're never frozen. And then what's different about each one of those is the flavors that they add on top. So they'll add like different cereals, like you can see like Fruity Pebbles on top of them, or even like Lucky Charms. So the kids like the really brightly colored ones.
I've seen the bacon ones.
Yeah.
I think we've all seen that.
So they do that kind of stuff, and each individual batch, they were putting the flavors right on in front of us. So.
Any jalapenos for Shelby?
No, nothing spicy.
Never on a donut, please.
Well,
no.
I know, I've seen your video of that and it looks super yummy, and I think we're gonna have to get there and try it. And that really wraps up this edition of Pop Studio. Thanks for joining us. Finally, a warm and fuzzy story with an emphasis on fuzzy. This past weekend, the Conservancy of Southwest Florida hosted its first ever wildlife baby shower. The center cares for orphaned and injured animals. With money in short supply, they came up with an idea to invite the community to come in and bring gifts.
Usually from April through September, we're extremely busy with a high number of admits coming in that are young animals. All babies require a lot of care, so it's really exciting to have the community support bringing in items from our wish list that will go directly towards the care of all these young animals.
People dropped off requested supplies, including kitten food, dish soap, hand soap, paper towels, and Cheerios. Just like kids, the baby animals like Cheerios. Then showergoers were treated to a tour of the wildlife hospital so they could see some of the baby animals being cared for. The Conservancy depends largely on contributions and donations. Ryan Mills reported this story. You can find it at naplesnews.com. That brings us to the end of this edition of Behind the Headlines. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. You can rewatch or share this show by going to naplesnews.com. I'm Amy Oshier. We'll see you back here next week.